Modified outboard champion, Bob Dunlap. Bob Dunlap of Savannah, Georgia, drove an almost perfect season in his big, bad 750 and 850cc modified runabouts. First, he won 2 international titles. All of that, plus 2 second places in the divisionals and nationals, boosted him to an amazing 25,987 total points. That earned him the Bob Goller Award, and he won the Paul Kalb Award as well. A highlight of Bob's season was setting a record in 750 mod runabout. It was also fun to outrun George and James Luce, who are the fastest around.
Yeah, really, I hadn't been going all my life. My dad raced when I was a kid. I quit boat racing and stock car raced, and actually I really didn't start boat racing until 1999, so about 12 years ago. Actually, I didn't ever think I'd be here, but earlier this year, after the second race, I was doing so good. Some of my competitors, Jerry David and some of the guys said, Bob, you really need to run for the Hall of Champions because you're not getting any younger. And now's the time to do it. So I set my goal then to do it this year. That's a good question. I love to win, and I hate to lose. I think I'm pretty ready. I tested in Florida last week with a new motor and propellers, and just about ready for the season. It's very possible. Of course, I really worked hard to get here this year, and I'm planning to do a few less races next year and have a more relaxed, fun season.
Please welcome Mr. Bob Dunlap.
Well, I want to thank everyone, Fred and Laurie and all the committee for putting this together for us. That Rick Miller's a hard speech to follow, I'm telling you. Between him and Jared, they don't even have to look down to see their notes. You'll see me looking down a lot. Don't want to expect a long speech out of me. Buddy Tennell and I went to the same public speaking school in Georgia. I want to thank a lot of people tonight. I have a lot of people to be thankful for. I couldn't have been here myself without them. They've given a great help to me. I especially have to thank my wife for her support. Although she doesn't go to the races with me, she's happy for me to do the things I love to do. Some of our friends say she may not get to claim me on the tax return this year. I've been gone so much. But we have a great time doing it. I've been racing for 12 years now. My dad raced when I was a kid. And when I got out of college, I stock car raced for 8 or 10 years and had a great time doing that. But I decided to work then and open my own business. And so a number of years ago, I started fooling with the antique outboard guys. And I had one of my dad's old race boats I'd restored. And I was in Florida, and they said, you know, you ought to be racing with us. You've got some real race boats. I had a little Austin runabout. And so they got me down to the races one weekend. I got in the boat and raced and said, I believe I can do this, you know, and I've been doing it ever since. You know, I have to thank Steve Sawyer. He's one of my good friends in Savannah. He has his own team, and we're boat racing team partners. We work together on boats and motors, and Steve makes hard work a lot of fun when you work with him. We go to races together, and Steve has several boats, and he has several drivers. He doesn't travel as much as I can because he has to work. He has a job. It's a full-time job and a very demanding job. Jesse Ruling helps us a lot. He's one of Steve's drivers. He goes to Lock Haven with me, and he goes whenever Steve can't go a lot of times, and he's a big help. You know, George Luce, what can I say about George Luce? Everybody knows George. You can just say he's the best. George has helped me so much, it's just great. He's helped everybody in our sport. You know, you don't have to ask him twice. He sends boat plans to everybody. He'll just help anybody. A few years ago, I was running in 750 runabout in an old De Silva in the middle of the pack, and George came over one day and said, "You're really doing great. You're running great," and encouraged me so much, and I knew I wasn't doing so good. And so later that year, I told George, "Could you build me a new boat? Maybe I could do better if I had a new boat." And he said, "No." He said, "I'm too busy." He said, "I'll give you the plans, and you build it yourself." Well, that was really a big help to me, because I called George every night building a boat. It was the first boat I ever built, and he helped me so much. I've built 3 ever since and improved every one, and it's just, George made me step it up and learn when he knew I could. You know, so people like that are really great to have in our sport. You know, earlier this year I was on a long trip. I was gone for several weeks racing, not going home. I left my trailer with Eric Vanover, took the airport, flew home for a couple of weeks, and back to the races. I got in late Friday afternoon, and Eric took my trailer and boats and carried him to the race a couple hours south of his house for me, so I wouldn't have to drive back through Cincinnati in heavy traffic. And you know, there's so many people that just help us a lot. I've got so many other people I could name. R.C. Howe in Florida, and just my first boat was an Austin roll-up runabout. I was running A-Mod, and they were trying to teach me to roll that boat up, and we were down in Florida, and race was getting ready to start. I'd been practicing. I couldn't roll that boat up. You know, and we got ready to go out for the road race, and Nooch came over, and he said, "Okay, Bob, get in that boat. Don't come back till you can roll it up." I went out. We went down in the first turn. I was between 2 boats. There was a big crowd of boats. I leaned way over the side, and the boat just rolled up. You know, and now from then on, that was it. You know, it's just a lot of fun. I didn't start last year running for the Hall of Champions, you know. It was after about the 2nd or 3rd race, Jury came over, that's Jerry Davids, if you don't know, came over and said, "Bob, you ought to run for the Hall. You could make it." I said, "No, I've never even thought about being able to make it. You know, I just like racing and having fun, you know." And he said, "No, you can do it." So he encouraged me a lot, and I thought about it. And I had been doing good already. I'd won 2 Winter Nationals and was doing real good. So I went home and dug out some of the old boats, the old hot rods and all that stuff, and loaded them up and took off, and here I am today. It was a lot of hard work, but I've done it. I've traveled a lot of races this year. Some places I've never been before, but I managed to set a competition record at Dayton on Sunday. After a little duct tape on Saturday, I went on my head Saturday with rough water. We duct taped the boat up, and I managed to go out and set the record on Sunday. That was a real highlight of my career. And I did go swimming a few times this year, you know, but I ran a lot of heats. I was running usually 4, 5, and 6 classes a day at the races to be able to get enough points to win some awards. And that was a lot of hard work. You know, a lot of races I went to by myself because my friends and all couldn't go with me. They couldn't take time off work to go because I'd have to leave on Wednesday because we didn't have a lot of races close to us down south, so I went out and raced with some of the other people. And when I'd pull into the pits by myself with 3 boats on the trailers, the guys would all look around and laugh and say, "Pit somewhere else, don't pit by us." They knew what work they'd be doing, you know, but it all worked out good. Nobody minded helping, you know, and I didn't miss getting out on a heat all season. So, and even sometimes, one time I had to change a power head, and some of my competitors were over helping me change between heats. And that's the kind of sport we have. That's what makes this sport so much fun and so much great. It's the people in it, you know. Regardless of what category you're in, we're all boat racers, and that's what makes it so good. You know, I've heard it said yesterday at our meeting that something that really hit me up home. It's like a family reunion. And you know, this weekend we come to, it's kind of like a family reunion. We're all the boat racing family. Every race I've gone to this year has been like a family reunion. I've seen friends I hadn't seen in years. I've met new friends. And it's just, I've had such a great time. I've really enjoyed this year. This last year has been the highlight of my racing career. Making it into the Hall of Champions this year, it's just been a great year and a lot of fun.